You check your bank account, $4,382. You've been working for years. You're not reckless. You don't feel irresponsible, but somehow every time you try to build momentum, something resets you back to zero. A car repair, a vacation, a medical bill, a random I deserve this purchase. And you keep hearing people say the first $100,000 is the hardest, but nobody actually explains why or how to get there faster. And here's the worst part, you secretly wonder if maybe you're just bad with money. Look, you're not. You just haven't been shown the right game. My name is Pete, and I love thinking about money. If you're someone who works hard but feels like building real wealth is painfully slow, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today, we're going to break down how to save your first $100,000, not someday, but as fast as realistically possible. And here's the thing, saving your first 100,000 is not about being extreme. It's not about eating rice and beans for 10 years, and it's definitely not about hitting the lottery with crypto. It's about math. It's about psychology, and it's about understanding leverage. And once you see it clearly, it changes everything. Let's challenge a common assumption right away. Most people think $100,000 is just an arbitrary milestone. It's not. Here's what most people don't realize. At a 7% average annual return, which is roughly the long-term historical average of the S&P 500 after inflation adjustments, $100,000 invested grows to about 196,000 10 years, 386,000 20 years, 761,000 in 30 years without you adding another dollar. This is where it gets really interesting. At $10,000 invested, 7% gives you $700 per year. At $100,000 invested, 7% gives you $7,000 per year. That's an entire Roth IRA contribution growing on its own, because after that, the machine starts helping you. Before $100,000, you are pushing the car uphill. After $100,000, the engine turns on. Now you might be thinking, okay, great, but I can barely save $500 a month. Let's talk about that. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for Americans under 35 is around $39,000. For ages 35 to 44, it's roughly $135,000, meaning most people don't even hit $100,000 until their late 30s or 40s. Why? Because the first $100,000 is 80% behavior and 20% math. You don't struggle because you can't calculate percentages. You struggle because lifestyle inflation eats raises. Social comparison drives spending. Small recurring expenses feel harmless, and your brain prioritizes present comfort over future security. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Your brain discounts future rewards dramatically. Saving $1,000 today feels painful. Having $500,000 at 60 feels abstract. So your brain says, let's just order DoorDash. And that's not stupidity, that's biology. But once you understand the trap, you can design around it. Step 1. Stop trying to save and start trying to create margin. This is subtle, but it's powerful. Most people say, I need to save more. Wrong focus. You need margin. If you earn $70,000 per year and spend $65,000, you have $5,000 margin. That's slow. If you earn $70,000 and spend $50,000, you have $20,000 margin. Now we're moving. Saving your first $100,000 fast means aggressively widening the gap between income and expenses. There are only 3 levers. 1. Increase income. 2. Reduce expenses. 3. Do both simultaneously. Here's what most people don't realize. Cutting expenses has a ceiling. Increasing income doesn't. If you cut $300 per month in subscriptions, that's $3,600 per year. Helpful. But increasing your salary by $15,000? That changes everything. If you make $60,000 per year and save $5,000 annually, it will take 20 years, ignoring growth, to hit $100,000. If you increase your income to $85,000 and save $25,000 annually, 4 years. Same person, different strategy. This is why your 20s and 30s should be income building years. Certifications, negotiations, side businesses, strategic job hopping. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, workers who switch jobs typically see larger wage increases than those who stay put. You don't need 10 side hustles. You need one focused skill stack that increases your earning power: coding, sales, project management, AI integration, healthcare specialization. Income growth compresses time, and time is everything. Step two, choose an aggressive savings rate. Now let's talk math. If you invest $2,000 per month at 7%, you hit $100,000 in about 4 years. If you invest $1,000 per month at 7%, it takes about 8 years. Cut the time in half, double the savings rate. Simple. The FIRE community talks about savings rates for a reason. At a 10% savings rate, wealth builds slowly. At 30 to 40%, momentum becomes visible. This is where it gets really interesting. If your take home pay is $5,000 per month and you live on $3,000, you're saving 40%. That's not deprivation. That's clarity. And once you see progress, like hitting $20,000, then $35,000, then $50,000, your brain shifts. Progress creates motivation. Motivation reinforces discipline. Discipline builds wealth. Let's make this practical. If I were starting from zero today, here's exactly what I'd do. 1. Build a 3-6 month emergency fund. 2. Eliminate high interest debt, anything above 7 to 8%. 3. Automate investing into low cost index funds. 4. Increase income every single year. Simple doesn't mean easy, but it's clear. For example, you earn $80,000. After taxes, you take home $60,000. You live on $42,000. You invest $18,000 per year. At 7% return, you'll cross $100,000 in roughly 5 years. 5 years. That's one serious push. That's not forever. Step three, avoid the lifestyle trap. Now, this is where most people fail. They hit $30,000 saved, they feel responsible, they upgrade apartments, buy a nicer car, start traveling more, and suddenly their savings rate drops. Here's what most people don't realize. Every recurring expense you lock in becomes a permanent drag on your freedom. A $700 car payment isn't just $700. Invested at 7% for 20 years, that's over $365,000. That's the invisible cost of lifestyle inflation. I'm not anti-enjoyment, I'm anti-unconscious spending. There's a difference. Saving your first $100,000 fast requires identity change. You stop seeing yourself as, I'm trying to save money, and start seeing yourself as, I'm a capital allocator. That shift is powerful. Instead of asking, can I afford this? You ask, is this the highest and best use of my capital? That question alone filters 70% of impulse spending. I once spoke to a guy, mid-30s, making $95,000 per year. Smart, hardworking, no real savings. He wasn't reckless, he just drifted. We ran the numbers. If he saved $2,500 per month, he'd hit $100,000 in under 4 years. He said that feels extreme. Then we looked at his spending: 2 leased cars, high-end apartment, frequent dining out. He wasn't poor, he was optimized for comfort. He downgraded one car, moved to a slightly cheaper place, negotiated a raise. 3 years later, $112,000 invested. Same person, different priority. Once you hit $100,000, compounding starts contributing meaningfully. At $100,000 with 8% returns, that's $8,000 per year. That's like an invisible coworker adding to your portfolio. At $250,000, $20,000 per year. At $500,000, $40,000 per year. Eventually, your money works harder than you do. But it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you sprint early. Now, you might be thinking, what about kids? What about student loans? What if I don't make 6 figures? Look, the exact numbers change. The principle doesn't. Even saving $1,200 per month gets you there in about 6 to 7 years. The timeline flexes, but intentionality is non-negotiable. If you want to accelerate this even further, avoid new car debt. Limit housing to under 30% of take-home pay. Invest every raise, automate everything, increase income annually. And most importantly, track your net worth monthly. What gets measured improves. Watching the number climb becomes addictive in a good way. Here's what most people don't realize. The first $100,000 is not about the money. It's about proof. Proof that you can delay gratification. Proof that you can control lifestyle inflation. Proof that you can build something meaningful. Once you hit it, you stop doubting yourself financially. And confidence compounds too. Look, 5 years from now will happen whether you prepare for it or not. You can either look back and say, I wish I started, or you can look back and say, that was the smartest financial decision I ever made. Saving your first $100,000 fast is not about being extreme. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing temporary discipline over permanent stress. So here's your challenge. Run your numbers tonight. Calculate your margin. Set a target monthly investment, automate it, and commit to one income increase within the next 12 months. Do that, and your first $100,000 stops being a dream. It becomes a date on the calendar. If this helped you think differently about money, hit the subscribe button because we don't just talk about getting rich here, we talk about getting free. And I'll see you in the next one.